Test, yes.
There you go.
Good afternoon and welcome to today's City Planning Meeting Commission. Let's see. If you all are here to speak, please go ahead and fill out a card so that we can make sure to call your name when your docket item is up. I'm going to go ahead and do roll call. Commissioner Kepper. Here. Commissioner Hebert.
Here.
Commissioner Josie Gupta.
Present.
Commissioner Flick.
Present.
Commissioner Jordan.
Present.
Commissioner Sieg.
Here.
Commissioner Witry. It looks like we might have almost a full house today. Welcome, commissioners. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and read the meeting rules, and then we'll get started. The City Planning Commission has established certain rules governing the procedures to be followed at public hearings. Before speaking, each person shall give their name, address, and whom he or she is representing. Proponents for the proposal will speak for a maximum of 10 minutes. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 2 minutes. Opponents or other interested parties will speak for a period of 15 minutes. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 2 minutes. Proponents will be allowed a period of 6 minutes for rebuttal. Each speaker shall be allowed a maximum of 2 minutes. Opponents will not be allowed to rebut. No material, written matter will be accepted by the commission unless we suspend the rules and vote to agree to accept the written material or maps. And I think we're ready for our first item, and that is approval of the minutes for April 28th.
Commissioner Flick will make a motion for approval of the April 28th minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hebert. Any questions, commissioners, comments? If not, then let's go ahead and vote. The meeting minutes have been adopted. Let's move on to first order of business, or the zoning dockets, 030-26.
Zoning docket 030-26 is a request for a zoning change from an HU-RD2 Historic Urban Two-Family Residential District to an HU-B1A Historic Urban Neighborhood Business District, and conditional use to permit a standard restaurant in the HU-B1A Use Restriction Overlay District. This request would allow for the existing legally non-conforming restaurant Cafe Menu to be conditionally permitted as a standard restaurant in tandem with a zoning change. While standard restaurants may generally pose negative impacts on residential areas such as Uptown, the proposed conditional use would be operational in nature. The site features a historical commercial structure that has been in operation since at least 1929, and no modifications or additions to the building footprint nor facade are proposed. Provided the site qualifies under the historic non-conforming use policy, and HU-B1A would be a more accurate and effective zoning classification of the site, staff recommend approval of the requested zoning change. Staff also finds that the conditional use request meets the standards for approval in Article 4 of the CZO and is consistent with the master plan. In summary, staff recommend approval of both the requested zoning change and conditional use to permit a standard restaurant in the HU-B1A use district overlay, subject to 2 provisos.
Is there an applicant here to speak, or should we just move into the speaker cards? Please remember to state your name and address, and that you've got 2 minutes.
Okay. My name is Moni Dawes, and my address is 5433 Laurel Street. I own and operate Cafe Malu. I live about 3.5 blocks away from the restaurant, and I grew up in this neighborhood. I've owned and operated restaurants for over 22 years. Over the last couple of months, I've spent a great deal of time meeting with neighbors, listening to concerns, and making changes in response to feedback. While there is opposition, there has also been an enormous amount of support from neighbors, customers, and nearby residents who feel Cafe Malu and Octavia Books have brought warmth and vitality to this corner of Uptown. After one community meeting, a neighbor who initially opposed the change even reached out afterward to say he was now in favor because he felt the neighborhood was better with the bookstore and restaurant there together. I understand concerns about parking, traffic, and noise, but I also think it's important to keep the scale of this request in perspective. Cafe Malu is a 30 indoor seat restaurant. We have 20 seats outside, and many days we are not even operating at full capacity. What I'm asking for is the ability to serve alcohol during my operating hours and preserve the option, if and when it makes sense, to operate a small dinner service in the future. Importantly, I've already agreed to substantial limitations in response to neighborhood concerns. Dinner service would be limited to 4 nights per week. Outdoor seating would end at 5 p.m. There would be no outdoor evening dining, a 9 p.m. instead of a 10 p.m. closing time. The other 3 days of the week, the restaurant would continue closing at 3 p.m. These are significant operational restrictions for a very small independent restaurant. At a certain point, I do think we have to ask what kind of city we want New Orleans to be if even modest neighborhood restaurants face extraordinary barriers to obtaining a carefully conditioned liquor license and limited operational flexibility. I employ 12 full-time people and 6 part-timers, including neighborhood high schoolers. I raised money from investors who believed in me in this neighborhood, and I take my responsibility to build something sustainable for myself, my staff, and the community.
I just have a quick question. Can you remind me how many can you seat inside the restaurant and how many seats can outside of the restaurant?
30 maximum capacity inside and 20 outside.
Thank you. Ms. Judith Lafayette, Mr. Tom Lowenberg, and Ms. Avery Fournier.
Sorry, do you mind if we switch up the order a bit?
Ms. Becca, you want to go first?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Becca Geiger, 800 Brown Street. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I want to thank you for your time today. Since we last appeared before you, we've made substantial progress on this application, specifically on neighborhood outreach. Monty has had countless conversations with nearby residents and stakeholders, not only to discuss the request itself, but also to address and dispel misinformation about what is actually being proposed, both now and in the future. We also want to be very clear about the scope of the request. This is not a request for expansion into the book space, now or ever. We are not asking for a bar or even a holding bar. This remains a small restaurant request designed to complement the existing business and neighborhood context. We appreciate the staff's thoughtful review and thank them for their report in support of these requests. At this point, I'll turn it over to Avery to discuss the specific safeguards and operational commitments we've proposed. Commissioners, Avery Foray, 800 Brown Street. As you know, provisos as operational restrictions can be a powerful and useful tool in this process and in land use matters because no 2 requests are the same. We don't always have proposed provisos ironed out at this stage or committed to at this stage in the process, but in this case we do. I have brought copies of those if there's an appetite to take those into the record with a motion. We wanted to be sure that what we were proposing ensures that the operation is compatible with the surrounding residential neighborhood. So I'll just touch on some of these in quick summary. They include restrictions preventing any expansion of alcohol sales beyond what is being requested under the conditional use, alcohol served to seated guests only, no to-go service whatsoever, confirmation that this is not a bar, nor will it be allowed to have a holding bar, additional parking available for the restaurant through removal of a loading zone that is along the whole side of the building, hours of operation that are significantly shorter than what the CZO's default hours are for a standard restaurant, with sensitivity to the fact that this is a residential neighborhood, and then finally removal of outdoor seating in the early afternoon to further reduce impacts of any dinner service to the neighborhood. So ultimately, this is a small business operating in a very small space. We're asking for reasonable operational flexibility for Monty that will support the long-term sustainability and success of the neighborhood business while remaining mindful of the surrounding neighborhood. Thank you for your time, and thank you to staff for the report.
I have a question. Can you clarify what you said about the outdoor seating being removed at what time?
5 o'clock.
Okay, every day?
Every day. And then dinner service is only proposed Thursday through Sunday.
Thanks.
So actually 3 o'clock, Monday through Wednesday.
I'm going to ask for a fellow commissioner if they would to suspend the rules.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to accept the information provided.
I'll second.
Let's vote.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Sorry.
If not, we'll go ahead and vote.
Sorry.
Commissioner Jordan was the mover. Do I have a second? Commissioner Flick? Any questions? If not, let's vote. Thank you. The motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Of course, and I'd like the record to note Commissioner Jackson is now with us. Welcome. Mr. Tom Lowenberg, and then Ms. Judith Lafayette. And that's all I have to speak in support. If there's somebody else, please go ahead and fill out a card.
I'm Tom Lowenberg,
Okay.
and this is Judith Lafitte.
Okay.
We are the owners of the building, and first of all, the building has been a commercial building. You mentioned 1929 at least. It's been a corner commercial building for longer than that, a lot longer than that, maybe since the turn of the previous century. So it's, like 120, 125 years. It's been in continuous use as a corner commercial building. So we're not really, what we're doing is not really changing that because we're not adding any real use to it. The building is fully occupied right now. We operate Octavia Books in addition to owning the building. We've operated Octavia Books since the year 2000, so we're in our 26th year. We just did a historic renovation of the whole building. It's only suited for commercial use. In addition to Octavia Books being downstairs and the restaurant, upstairs is the home of the Booth Bricker Foundation, and they have a long-term lease there. They're not going anywhere. Nobody's really going anywhere. I hope my restaurant will be able to, the restaurant that's in our building, Cafe Malou, will be able to stay there for a long time, which is one of the reasons that we need to do this. And we just want the building to be recognized for what it is, a commercial building, because it's very onerous otherwise to do anything. And we believe in corner buildings. They are part of the health of the city. I think the City Planning Commission has recognized this in the past. Our renovation got multiple awards from the Louisiana Historic Commission Society, from the
Excuse me, sir, that's your time to speak, but if Ms. Judith, if you would like to say anything, you're allowed, or you can give your time to your husband. You want to cede your time to your husband?
Yes.
and I don't need to say much more. I took photographs 4 nights since Thursday, and I'd like to leave these with you, but what this shows is the building outside in the evening, starting at 6:30 or 6 o'clock on different nights. And you'll see from these, if I can, I don't know who I can leave this with, but
Legal, do we have to suspend the rules again to get, since it's a new? Okay, so,
if I can leave them with you, I would like to have you look at them. I have an extra copy. If anybody else wants to see it, I'll hold on to it. But anyway, what it shows is at nighttime along Laurel Street, along Octavia Street, along our building, almost no cars parked there. So often there's no real issue with parking at night there. The restaurant faces on Laurel Street, which is the better parking situation. And I do want to say that at night, my tenant upstairs is gone. The bookstore has events, but when we don't have an event, we're gone. And we have parking, quite a bit of parking alongside the building. So we've got probably on the outside of the building, it'll accommodate about 7 cars, and we have a driveway that'll accommodate 3 or 4 cars. So we actually can probably just about contribute as much to the parking area as the number of cars that would be parked there if they're open on those evenings that they want to be open.
any questions?
So I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to admit the photographs.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Commissioner C made the motion, Commissioner Flick second. Any discussion? Not, let's vote.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question, not to get involved in your lease terms, but do you have a long-term lease with this tenant for the restaurant?
Yes.
And is there a sublease component of it?
I can't remember if there's a provision that would allow that. There very well may be, but it's, in the event that they would be out of operation, I can't remember.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anyone else here to speak in support. If that's the case, then we're going to move to opposition. Ms. Celeste Marshall, Ms. Marilyn Friedmeier, and Ms. Liv Newman. And then we'll move to the other two. Remember to state your name and address. You got 2 minutes.
Celeste Marshall, 547 Octavia Street. I'm speaking on behalf of 33 households on Octavia and Laurel. This is our 6th meeting on this topic, and quite frankly, we're exhausted. We have tried to find a compromise with the owners of the cafe and the bookstore, but they seem unwilling to waver in their demands. We have asked to support a change of a 10,000 square foot building to commercial to allow for alcohol service to the cafe, something the neighbors have been largely against for years. Because this is a permanent change that has effects long into the future, we offered a compromise of deed restrictions and provisos to the property along with the zoning change to protect the neighborhood in the future and ask that there be no change to the historical offers of the cafe. This was not accepted. We appreciate that we live off a commercial corridor and 7 days a week we live with that and enjoy the walkability as a trade-off. But at night, we want to be a quiet neighborhood as we have always been. We are not being unreasonable or melodramatic about the consequences of extended restaurant hours into the evening. We know exactly what it will be like because we live with it every time there is a book talk and you have to park around the corner or a block away when you get home from work. It happens once a month and we put up with it, but the idea of dealing with that nightly is unacceptable to us and feels like an unreasonable request. The owner of the building is not willing to put deed restrictions on the building because it will affect its resale value. Why should 48 property owners be put in the same position, only 10 of which have driveways? The owner of the cafe has been in the restaurant business for 2 decades and chose this location over others in the neighborhood with a full understanding of the zoning and its limitations. The owner of the building leased it to them with a full knowledge of the neighbors' feelings on having alcohol service in that space. Why should we, the neighbors, be put through all of this for a business that has been open not even a year and is telling us they misjudged the business climate to such a degree that 4 months in, they realized they could not make it work without alcohol and dinner service? These changes are permanent and will apply to any future business in that location.
Thank you. Marilyn Feldmeyer? Liv Newman? And then I also have Lenora Phillip, but she had given her time to Taylor Galen. So Taylor, you have 4 minutes if you'd like to come up here and state your name and address.
Okay. I'm Taylor Gallion, and we own the property at 415 Octavia Street, a half a block away, and the double shotgun 5421, 5423 Laurel Street, which shares a 99-foot property line. With Cafe Malou's intention to increase hours of operation past the current 3 p.m. closing, we ask that their request today be denied. Since the March 24th City Planning Commission meeting, when the vote was deferred, there has been discussion in meetings with all parties. While an agreement on the rezoning to allow the sale of alcohol may be possible with provisos and deed restrictions, there is an impasse on the extended hours. Our property is right next to the driveway that Cafe Malou uses for service, including cleaning, trash collection, and employee breaks. If hours are allowed to extend into the evening for dinner, the noise and smells of this activity would be disruptive and troublesome for our tenants. I have photographs of the relationship between our building and Cafe Malou with the service drive, which if I could submit those, I would like to do that.
Fellow commissioners?
Should I keep? Okay. The extension of, let's see, where was it? The extension of hours would also make what is currently difficult parking intolerable for neighbors in the adjacent blocks. Presently, the parking challenges are limited to the day, ending at 3 p.m. when Cafe Moulou closes. If hours are extended, then the parking issue also extends for neighbors coming back from a school pickup or work. The effects of the extension of hours would ultimately make our rental less desirable and cause a reduction in rent. Additionally, our property value would decrease considerably. Look, when we purchased this building, we understood we were purchasing next to a non-conforming use with a bookstore that was open till 6, with special events, and a restaurant that was open till 3. That's what we understood we had purchased. So any changes we see as having an ill effect on us. It's not what we purchased. It is important to reiterate these concerns are not just about Cafe Moulou and include all future tenants. We have seen 5 businesses at the Cafe Moulou location in the 22 years we have lived in the neighborhood. 5. Therefore, the neighbors need to protect ourselves accordingly and not just plan for the business today, but for the success of the neighborhood in the future when other businesses are in this location. This is a very important point. Cafe Moulou runs a tight ship. They do great, but we don't know who's next, right? And it's very important that we have things in place to be sure that we're protected for that. With Cafe Moulou insisting on extending hours of operation, we ask today for the City Planning Commission to vote against this request. Just to be clear also, when this request first came in of rezoning and selling alcohol, and there was the neighborhood meeting, when you go back and look at the notes and you talk to people who were at that meeting, unfortunately I was out of town for work during that meeting, so I did read the notes, I got the minutes and read them. It was very confusing to the neighborhood about the extended hours. This feels like a new issue to the neighbors since the March 24th City Planning Commission meeting. So we were caught off guard and been trying to catch up and try to understand what this all means. And the immediate neighbors, they talk about neighbors wanting it, some people don't. When I speak to the immediate neighbors, which are the 4 adjacent blocks to that corner, it's clear that it is not wanted.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to accept the material provided by the applicant.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Can you just share what we're looking at, what you're wanting to? Okay.
Thank you.
Let's vote. The motion carries. Thank you. Miss Marilyn or Miss Liv?
Miss Marilyn?
Okay.
Marilyn Feldmeyer, 415 Octavia and 5421 Laurel Street. I'm kind of reiterating what Taylor said. Hello, Commissioners. We are pretty happy with the status quo. Commercial use, limited hours, no alcohol. And seeing the last people there over the last 20-odd years, we think a cafe can do really well in that area without change of use, change of hours, or alcohol. The zoning change, we don't believe, is necessary for the success of a business in this location. It feels like an arbitrary request that benefits and enrich the affected business owners at the expense of the neighbors. As this is a permanent change that may affect the neighbors in a negative manner, we ask that you deny this request. There's a second thing I want to talk about, which was the confusion of the process. I think Taylor mentioned that the hours came in super late. So the idea of figuring out what the goals are and figuring out the process to achieve those goals got all mixed up. We just had a crazy meeting last week in a dark room, and people were pretty anxious and scared because we weren't just trying to get a consensus on the goals of hours or alcohol and things like that. We were also trying to decide if we're doing a reverse zoning or deed restrictions or provisos. And it was really frustrating. And a lot of people brought up their concerns that this could that was part of the, that this process was really a mess. And didn't get the neighbors on board early enough to have a clear goal that we agreed to. And we still are not there. And plenty of people said, hey, look, it's 5 more months if we're doing reverse zoning. What else can slip in there? What else could happen? And the trust level is pretty darn low. So at this point, with what we've gone through for the last few months, I ask that you deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Newman? And that's the last card I have to speak.
Hi, I'm Liv Newman, 527 Octavia Street. For the reasons I'll outline and those presented by my fellow neighbors, I ask you move this matter forward to the City Council with a no vote. It is notable that neighbors throughout this process have made offers of concession to support the desires of these businesses to obtain an alcohol license. For example, after consultation with the most significantly impacted neighbors, responsible concessions offers of rezoning to allow for alcohol from 7 to 3, and other basic provisos, and a deed restriction protecting the neighbor's interests well into the future, were met with a longer list of wants from Ms. Daw than prior to these conversations. That included dinner service. It was made clear to the neighbors at the initial meeting beginning this process that dinner service was not under consideration. Dinner service has never been offered at this location it's never been offered. Every previous business that has been there has been closed by 3 p.m. So this is a completely new consideration for us that came up after neighbors offered concessions meeting the initial request. Ms. Dawes, the owner of Cafe Malou, proclaims an alcohol license is essential for the success of their business. The rezoning process was initiated on February 2nd, just 4 months after the cafe opened. Ultimately, Ms. Dawes selected this location with the full knowledge that the space was improperly zoned for an alcohol license and that permanent zoning would be needed. I have yet to hear an explanation for why.
Thank you. If the applicant would like to come up and do a rebuttal. We also have new technology, I guess, that it shuts down after 2 minutes. And then there's the
timing here is very helpful.
Correct, and then we've got a timer here, so we're learning together. Okay, thank you. Please, you've got 2 minutes.
Sure, I'm going to be quick. I don't necessarily think I need 2 minutes. Just want to clarify, there are so many things involved with this, right? Like, it is a mess. It's a complicated set of circumstances. It's a 100-year-old commercial building, even though it does not have commercial zoning. There are 2 nonconformities. I mean, you name it. We needed a zoning change just to ask for the conditional use. There is an HUB1A overlay, which is why we need alcohol for the restaurant. It is very, very complex, which is why Monty called us in to help her through this, because no one could really navigate this level of intensity in zoning. And then since then, there have been several conversations with several invested parties, right? ARNA, several neighbors that live in the area, several supporters that live in the area, several other business owners that live in the area. And so it's been, it's a ball of wax. It's very complicated. In that same tone, we did put together what we call a flyer, but we brought it to the ARNA meeting last week, and it essentially lays out the provisos that you have in front of you. It tries to build out why the zoning change was needed, and it even shows a willingness to reverse that zoning, which is kind of what we're talking about. The council member has made it clear that if she were to move this forward, she wants to actually consider that reverse zoning as a piece of it. Deed restrictions have been brought up. What goes in those deed restrictions, I don't think has ever been clarified, and so it's very complicated. We are trying to make this simple. We're trying to restrict heavily what this restaurant space could do, whether with Monty or another user in that space. That was the whole idea of those, and that was the whole idea of why we put in black and white those provisos you see before you. So you have it before you. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do you all have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I have one.
Commissioner C, please.
Explain your reference to reverse zoning.
Sure. Reverse zoning is something we brought up as a potential solution. One of the issues that rose to the top and became really a threshold issue on the case appeared to be actually not the alcohol change, although that is not all fully agreed to, but actually the fact that the entire lot would be changed to the HUB 1A zoning. That's what staff is supporting, but there was concern over what that could mean, could eventually go in that Octavia book space and or the restaurant space. So it's seldom used, but Britannia Theater is a decent precedent. That happened since COVID, actually. They did this. They were HURD2. They went to HUMU, got an alcohol license, and then went back. What it would require is a motion by the council member to kick that off. And then the idea is that we would close out a conditional use and request an alcohol license while that was pending. So I know there's fear that we could do some bait and switch in that 4 months, but legally, the process goes through this 6-month process regardless. So we would not physically be able to speed up another request in the meantime. But that's basically the idea of it. It's to give comfort back, to put it back under RD2 zoning.
And so has the applicant agreed to do that?
We have,
Okay.
and as has the building owner.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Staff's recommendation is approval with 2 provisos. The applicant has also submitted an additional 8 provisos.
Oh.
Commissioner Stieg.
So I'm gonna make a motion to accept the staff recommendation. This is a difficult issue because we always hope that the neighbors in the commercial business will come to an agreement. The reason I'm going to support staff recommendation, other than that staff has studied it closely, is that I think that the applicant has made concessions, a number of them, night operation only 3 days a week, et cetera. I won't repeat them, but they seem to reach a balance, and often we try to reach a balance between the neighbors' needs and the need for properties to move forward. And I think this strikes a decent balance, a good balance, actually, so I'm moving to accept staff recommendation with the provisos. Let me ask staff, are all of these provisos that they've handed to us, are they included in, I seem to remember the staff report only said 2 provisos?
So the provisos that are in the report, I believe, are, Julia, correct me wrong, but they are the standard proviso from the CZO.
Okay, so then I'm going to
So it will need to be modified to take into
make
account.
part of my motion that the approval would include the 8 provisos that were handed to us after the motion to accept them.
Legal, is there a second? Legal?
Yeah. Do you mind if I jump in?
Yes.
So
No.
provisos number 6 and 7 are not something that the city would be able to enforce.
Does that mean I can't include them? Just because they can't enforce them and the city can't, never mind, I won't editorialize, but are they illegal?
They're not, they don't pertain to zoning. Employee parking,
Right.
and then
I'd like to include them because I think they'll carry some moral weight and I think it would be helpful for the council to know our intentions, even if sometime later they get struck down.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Commissioner Flick seconds.
All right. Any questions, discussions? If not, let's vote. Good. The motion carries. Thank you all for coming down to City Hall so often. We do appreciate it. Good luck. We are moving on to zoning docket 04726.
Madam Chair, I need to recuse on this one.
Commissioner Stieg, thank you. Zoning docket 04726.
Zoning docket 04726, initiated by City Council Motion M26104, considers a text amendment to the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance originally adopted as Ordinance Number 4264 MCS, as amended. The proposed amendment would modify the zoning ordinance's billboard regulations to add the existing billboard located at 100 Poydras Street to the list of designated receiving locations eligible for electronic conversion. Electronic conversion allows for the modernization of existing static billboards to digitally displays at approved receiving locations as regulated by the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance. This amendment would expand that list to include the subject site. Staff is requesting a 30-day deferral of this matter to the May 26th regular meeting to allow staff additional time to complete the review of this approval.
Thank you. And just to be clear, is anybody here to speak on this matter? I don't have any cards. Okay, and there's not an applicant because it's a city council motion. So then, commissioners? There is a motion to defer from Commissioner Josie Gupta. Is there a second? There is a second. Any discussion? So we're voting, and we're deferring to May 26th?
Who made the second? Thank you.
So the motion carries, 1 recusal, 7 yeas, till May 26th is the deferral date. All right, we're moving on to zoning docket 048-26.
It's me. Zoning docket 048-26 is a request for a text amendment to the comprehensive zoning ordinance that would do two things. First, it would add a new definition, park concession facilities, to Article 26. This change would define park concession facility as an accessory use and structure located within a quasi-public park that is operated by or under a contractual agreement with a public entity or quasi-public entity that owns or manages the park. This facility provides food, beverage, including alcoholic beverages, for consumption on premises and related items primarily to park visitors, event attendees, and members of the general public accessing the park. Additionally, there will be a change to Article 21, which would prescribe on-site development standards for park concession facilities. As described in the package, there's 4 development standards. The proposal meets all of the standards in Table 4.1, standards for zoning amendments of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, and is consistent with the master plan. For these reasons, staff recommends approval of zoning docket 048-26.
Thank you. We have 2 cards here to speak. Ms. Sonoy and Mr. Kirby. Ms. Kirby? Mr. James, you know I can't see that far away.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Jackson Kirby with Audubon Nature Institute of 6500 Magazine Street. We're just here in support of the staff recommendation for this amendment.
Sheman Grant Saloy, Audubon Nature Institute, 6500 Magazine, in support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I have any other cards here to speak? Okay, if not, I'm looking for a motion.
Question for staff.
Yes, Commissioner Josie Gupta.
Will there be alcohol as part of the concession?
Yes.
And does this impacts all parks, or is there any potential? No.
It only impacts parks in the OSN and RIV districts.
So how many parks is that? I guess I'm just looking to understand if there's alcohol that can be provided in any of these parks in these districts. Is there a negative impact that we're not seeing?
Sure. OSN parks are regional parks. They're the parks that attract people from all over. They're City Park, potentially probably Lincoln Beach, and Audubon Park. So these are the larger parks that more than likely already have concession sales of that nature in them. In the RIV districts, those are parks in City Park. They're very, very limited in nature. I don't have a map of them, but there are only a few. And the reason we did this is because there's a cross-section of the impetus for this was the new park on the riverfront. And it crosses these districts. So but the scope will be very limited in nature.
And is it always contingent on another facility working with the City of New Orleans in terms of providing those services? Like the City of New Orleans won't be providing the alcohol services. They're going to be contracting out with someone who's going to provide the concessions?
Yes, it's going to look exactly who does it. I have that right here. Hold on. With a public entity, a quasi-public entity that owns or manages the park.
Thank you.
Do I have already? Yes.
Yep, I'll make a motion.
Commissioner
It's
Jordan, a motion.
OSR and BCP. I used the wrong acronyms, but I described it.
One more question. Is it all alcohol or is the alcohol limited to certain types of alcohol?
That's not stipulated in the motion.
We have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Jordan and Commissioner Kemper.
Yep.
So let's vote.
Discussion? No?
Any discussion?
Yes, that's a motion for approval.
I'm in favor of the motion, but I wonder if there's something should be said in, with regards to the alcohol consumption.
Are there, Commissioner Gupta, are there any comments you want to send forward to council with this?
I mean, we're kind of giving a carte blanche for alcohol consumption, which goes with the nature of our city and the way we operate and the way, people celebrate. But if there were some sort of operating hours or some sort of, there should be some sort of a framework for the alcohol consumption.
Well, I do have these on-site development standards, which are use standards for the park, if you'd like to hear them specifically. Okay. The park concession facilities shall be located within a park with a total land area of not less than 3 contiguous acres, regardless of zoning district boundaries. That one's non-alcohol related. The cumulative gross area of the facility plus any associated outdoor service or seating area shall not exceed 5% of the total park land area. And what I think that would do is for any of the 5% of the total land area, if you're talking about something like a pocket park, it wouldn't be feasible to have it there because 5% of a smaller park wouldn't be able to accommodate these sort of operations. Alcoholic beverages may be sold for on-premise consumption. Prepared food must be available for all hours when alcoholic beverages are offered. Operation of park concession facility shall be permitted only during the posted operating hours of the park, or if no hours of operation are posted for the park between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Extended hours for specific events may be authorized through the city's special event permitting process. And I think that second on-site development standard, the motion itself does not limit what park it goes to, but by default, that sort of does.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for
You're welcome.
clarifying that.
8 yeas, the motion carries. Thank you. Zoning docket 04926.
Zoning docket 04926 is a request for a conditional use to permit a vocational educational facility within a C1 general commercial district. The vocational facility, which is listed as Cosmetic Foot Care and Medical Aesthetics Academy, LLC, is to occupy an existing tenant space within an established office park. No exterior construction or site modifications are planned, and the use will function similarly to the light-intensity medical office and personal services uses already present in the complex. The site meets all applicable parking requirements through shared parking for the overall facility, and bicycle parking is grandfathered in. Because of the operational characteristics of the vocational school that align more closely with light office and service uses than a traditional school campus, the anticipated impact on surrounding land uses is minimal and consistent with existing development patterns. The proposal complies with the master plan and designation of the neighborhood commercial, and therefore staff recommends approval of zoning docket 049-26 subject to the 2 provisos found in your staff report.
Thank you. I have a few cards. Dr. Gabriel Clark. State your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Gabrielle Clark, and I'm the owner of the building located at 10555 Lake Forest Boulevard, Suite 3D, New Orleans, Louisiana 70127. And I'm just here in support for the use of this vehicle. As mentioned, we don't need to do any additional renovations or anything to the facility. Everything is pretty much ready to go with approval. Hi, my name is Bielka Bowman Thomas. I'm the Director of Education at CFMA Academy, 1055 Lake Forest Boulevard, Suite 3D. The Cosmetic Foot Care and Medical Aesthetics Academy, we have today requested approval for a change of use for our facility to operate as a vocational and professional development training academy connected to healthcare and patient care education. CFMA provides advanced training in foot care, wound care, and podiatric medical assisting and medical nail technology. Our programs help train healthcare professionals and support staff to better identify, assist with conditions such as diabetic foot complications, chronic wounds infections, and lower extremity issues that can lead to serious complications, including amputations, if not properly managed. Many of the students we train go to work directly in doctor's office, podiatry clinics, wound care settings, and patient care environments, helping improve the quality of care and patient education within the community of New Orleans East. Our classes are designed for adult learners, medical professionals with small classroom sizes, minimal traffic impact, and adequate parking available. We are committed to operating a safe, profitable, professional, and compliant facility, and we'll continue working closely with the city, fire marshal, and all necessary departments to ensure we meet all requirements. Thank you.
I have a informational only, Property Docs, CFMA Academy.
Yes.
That was,
Yes.
Oh, wrong card.
oh, did you want to speak again or did you want to say anything?
Oh, no, you covered everything.
Okay.
And you're aware of the 2 provisos that are as part of the report?
I'm sorry?
The 2 provisos that were part of the report, which was basically submitting plans to the City and Planning Commission and just a notice that safety and permits won't be released until you've gotten approval.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any other cards here to speak in support, but you'll be able to come back up after we hear the opposition. Thank you. Henry King and Yolanda White. Those are the 2 cards I have. Please remember to state your name and address. You've got 2 minutes.
Yes, Henry King, my address is 5830 Kensington Boulevard, 70127. This is the first that I'm hearing that is going to be a vocational academy. I would like for the planning board, if they decide to grant them this request, that it is accredited and not some fly-by-night school that they just thrown up. They get the zoning rechanged because it was, I anticipate that this might be a backdoor way to circumvent the laws that we have about the zoning on this particular piece of property. So therefore, if you guys decide to go their way, emphasize that there should be no residential construction surrounding that vocational school. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Wouldn't that be something safety and permits would also require to see the accreditation? Or no?
No.
As part of the licensing, I suppose.
Part of the licensing. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Yolanda White.
Hi, my name is Yolanda White. My address is 5820 Wright Road, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70128. I live in Lake Forest Estate, which would bump Deer Park. Deer Park is a very, should I say, small area for business. And my concern is, even though we have Deer Park, normally when you're talking about a vocational schools, you're talking about, I don't know how many students they plan on having, but that's a large impact. And they don't have that much parking, okay? It's very compact in Deer Park. So that's my concern, that it does back up to our neighborhood, which is Lake Forest Estate. So where's all this parking going to come from? For the most part, you know, we try to keep the neighborhood, the integrity of our neighborhood, and we are very proud of New Orleans East, that area in particular. So I just want to know, and my concerns is, where is all this parking going to come in at? In order for the school to be successful, you need a certain amount of students. So if we have the students that I'm thinking in my head that you would need to be successful, we don't have that parking out there like that. So that would be my question to them.
Thank you. Are there any other cards to speak? If not, then if the applicant would like to come up and if you're able to answer their 3 concerns in your rebuttal, that would be great. And you'll have 2 minutes to rebut.
Yes, thank you. So those were some valid concerns. So I failed to mention that I do also own and operate 4 additional businesses within the Deer Park condominium associations, and one of them being my medical practice, which we see at least 30 patients a day. And so we have ample amount of parking for my medical practice to operate along with the other businesses that are operating throughout those times. We plan on only having 10 students per month. And we do offer a hybrid course, so where students will come in from various parts of the country or even in the city, and they will be at school for about a 1 to 2 week period. And then in addition to that, they'll rotate in our various clinics throughout the city. So we do plan on we do have ample amount of parking right now to satisfy that space.
This drawing is accurate as being just a single classroom.
I'm sorry?
This drawing is accurate as being a single classroom,
Yeah, right, yes.
lecture classroom. Thank you.
Please, Commissioner
I'd like to know,
Bear.
have you met with that community to discuss the school that you want to open?
Yes, and also we held an NPP meeting, I believe, in December 15th at the New Orleans East Library. And we were prepared. We had the planning, we had paperwork for everyone. No one showed up. Yeah.
Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you for speaking. I have just a quick question. If you could talk a little bit about the accreditation of your plans, so that way, you know, the folks here have a better understanding.
Right. So my name is Dr. Gabrielle Clark. I'm a board certified foot and ankle surgeon. And with that, I am accredited with another program that certifies medical assistants to become foot care nurses, foot care specialists, and also certified podiatry medical assistants. So it's accredited.
Oh, sorry. 1 second. Can you?
We have 2 different accrediting agencies. So one is for the clinically certified foot care nurses, where nurse practitioners, registered nurses can all become certified within the realm of foot care and wound care. And then we have another accrediting agency with Dr. Overstreet, in Medi Nail Academy, where they certified nail technicians to become medical nail technicians. And with me being a podiatrist, a board certified, I certified those students.
I have another question. So are you accredited or are you licensed to teach?
I'm licensed to teach, and we partner with the accrediting agency who additionally offers the certifications.
And how long is the class?
So the class lasts about 2 to 3 weeks, depends on the program.
Okay, thank you.
And the students will actually be at other clinicals, wouldn't actually be at the Deer Park facility for their clinicals. So that will be there for 1 week, and then the next week will be clinicals around the city.
Sounds great.
And one more thing. I just want to say, I know the neighborhood is very concerned about what's happening along Deer Park. So I appreciate you coming to speak on that subject. So with the parking, I'm hoping it won't be a problem. And if you only have 10 students,
Yeah.
I don't think it would impact the
And we also have an
community that much.
overflow parking in the back of the facility as well, so it should be fine.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? If not, then I'm looking for a motion.
Thank you, guys.
Commissioner Hebert has a motion to approve, and there's a second by Commissioner Josie Gupta, and that's with the two provisos. A motion to approve with two provisos. All right. Any questions, discussion? Let's vote. That is 7 yays. We have 8 yays now. Thank you. And I want to note Commissioner C has been back for the last two docket items. All right, so let's move forward to zoning docket 05126.
Zoning docket 5026 is a request for a zoning change from an HURD1 Historic Urban Two-Family Residential District to an HUB1A Historic Urban Neighborhood Business District, and a conditional use to permit a principal bed and breakfast. The site is located at 1731 Esplanade Avenue and is currently licensed as an accessory bed and breakfast with an allowance of 5 bedrooms. This request would allow the entire use of the site as a principal bed and breakfast, which would include 7 bedrooms in addition to the operator's suite. This site was issued a zoning violation letter on March 24th, reporting the illegal use of the site, operating with more than 5 bedrooms, and being advertised as a whole home rental. So the applicant is pursuing the zoning change and conditional use to come into compliance. Staff is unsupportive of this request as it conflicts with the master plan and will create a spot zone and will upzone this site to allow more intensive commercial uses. Staff also spoke to the applicant and informed them that a zoning change to an HURM1 multifamily residential district would be the least intensive designation for the applicant to be able to operate a principal bed and breakfast as part of the conditional use process. So staff also stated that a change of request to the HURM1 designation would not change staff's recommendation. However, the applicant would like to defer this request to the June 9th hearing to allow proper notice of the change of request to the HURM1 multifamily designation.
Okay, is there anyone here to speak? So the staff recommendation is denial. The applicant has asked for deferral. Don't we have new rules on this?
I think it's one.
So the commission can always approve of a deferral. The rules we made were with respect to automatic deferrals.
Oh, all right. Commissioners, what you'd like to do?
I'll move deferral to the June 9th meeting.
A second.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor to defer till June 9th. And a second. Anybody have any questions, discussion? My screen doesn't come up in voting, so I'm actually going to vote no. Thank you. The motion still carries. All right. Zoning docket 05126.
Zoning docket 5126 is a conditional use request to permit a hotel over 10,000 square feet in floor area in an HUMU historic urban mixed-use district. The site is located at 709 Jackson Ave. The property is a historic 19th century synagogue, which was redeveloped into apartments circa 2014. Since then, it has operated as a long-term and short-term rentals. Staff believes that due to the property's prior history of operating as transient lodging, approval of this conditional use will not constitute an intensification of use. Although not explicitly aligned with the purpose of the HUMU district or the low-density mixed-use future land use category, nonetheless, staff believes the proposal to be compatible with both of these. For these reasons, staff is recommending approval, subject to 2 provisos.
Thank you. Ms. Gregor, please.
Becca Geiger, 800 Barone Street. I want to thank staff for the recommendation of approval. This is a hotel request for a building that's had a history of transient lodging. The hotel would add more accountability as someone would be on site 24/7, but no other operational changes are proposed and no construction is proposed except for the addition of a lobby space. It is a small hotel with equal number of units, equal number of parking. If anyone's ever driven by, it is a fully gated property and so pretty protected from the neighborhood. We have support of both neighbors and the neighborhood association on this project. The owner is here today, should there be any questions from the commission, and we respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this matter? Okay, no, Commissioner Flick?
I just have a question. On the drawings, there's no restroom for anyone who would be working in the lobby. What is the intent for that?
So as soon as we get through the entitlement process, we're going to do a more architectural code review, and I imagine there's going to be a few changes that are needed. So I amend my earlier statement. There will be addition of a lobby and whatever other service spaces are needed.
Thank you.
Right, because there's not now. Correct. Commissioners, do you have any questions? So we'd be looking for a motion on the zoning docket. Staff recommendations approval, 2 provisos to become a hotel.
I have a question on, is there any kind of, the staff, or I didn't read the provisos, is there any noise abatement or any kind of special events provisos? Because those are the issues that happen with hotels. Or what, yeah.
Is that a question for me or for staff?
Or for staff, I don't know if staff has a proviso. But if you want to answer, go ahead.
Sure. So we have had conversations already about putting, there's a small courtyard in the back that is adjacent to one of the neighbors. And when we spoke with that neighbor, his just question was there going to be any increase in noise or programming or events given that it's a hotel? The answer is no, but the added comfort of someone being on site and be able to regulate any noise that would be emanating from the outdoor spaces is an added benefit, and they're excited to hear that. And then also the offer of a noise monitoring device that alerts the lobby if it gets too loud in the courtyard has been under discussion as well.
Does the staff have any proviso that directly addresses that?
Currently, there are no provisos relating to noise abatement.
Yeah, I would like for you to add something.
Staff, what would be your recommendation there if you wanted to add?
I guess that depends on the provisos.
Yeah, what are you?
Would it be something that would be handled by safety and permits as part of the regular permitting process?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in that case, we would say that it's not necessary, but I don't know.
I'm just taking the example of maybe like St. Vincent, where they have to shut down any kind of outdoor activities and any kind of outdoor events by 10 p.m.
The outdoor space is primarily parking, so the site plan isn't really designed in a way that would be.
I know, but sometimes they can take the parking away and have a little tent put up or an event. There's always possibilities
Right.
for something happening. We just want to protect the neighbors and noise.
On that note, I guess question to staff, wouldn't the applicant need to apply for a special event permit to have an event in the parking lot, even though it's on property?
Yeah, so the 2 kind of existing regulations that are outside of the zoning ordinance, or number one, a special event permit would be needed to have an event. And then number two, the city code imposes, the noise regulation. So those restrictions exist independently of the zoning ordinance. You're certainly within your prerogative to add additional restrictions tailored to this particular application, if you like.
May I add something?
Yes.
We've also spoken with the neighbor that is directly behind, and then additionally, the parking lot's on a corner, and then across from it is that large development. So we are pretty insulated. Further, we have support from the Lower Garden District Association on this project, and we've talked through all of these, these concerns, and this project has been met with a pretty universal, this feels acceptable to the neighborhood. And so we're happy to add anything, but we do know that any special event, anything that would exist on that courtyard would require a special event permit, as anything outdoor, it wouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable just because, going from a condo or residential to a hotel does bring up about some sort of a change. If you should even expand the property in the future by adding land around it, or, if there's parcels of land that you do end up acquiring in the future and they become into entertainment areas, and that is really the reason that I'm kind of trying to push back on that.
Understood.
Yeah. So I'm happy to go ahead and approve the zoning docket 051-26, subject to that additional proviso on noise abatement.
So just to kind of throw out some specific language, I think one proviso could be, there shall be no use of outdoor space for entertainment or events except where permitted by a special event permit. I don't know if that is that acceptable?
It's got to be acceptable
That's for
to you.
you,
We'll see if you
Commissioner
get-
Gupta.
Is that acceptable to you?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that acceptable to the
Yes.
applicant? Okay, all right. Is there a second on this?
I'll make the second, so
All
we
right,
can get this
Commissioner
going.
Jordan makes the second. What discussions do y'all have? The first was Commissioner Josie Gupta, the second was Commissioner Jordan. So the motion on the floor is approval, 2 provisos, plus an additional noise abatement. It's currently one owner because it's not condos, it's apartments.
It's actually 30-day
Right,
furnished
rental.
finder type rentals. Yes.
Yep.
So,
Okay, you're all ready to vote?
yep. Get it done.
Thank you.
Thank you. I vote yes. Zoning docket 05226.
Zoning docket 05226, this is a request for a conditional use permit, a conditional use to permit a standard restaurant in an HUB1 Historic Urban Neighborhood Business District and the Magazine Street Use Restriction Overlay District for a property located at 4807 Magazine Street. The subject property is developed with a mixed-use building with a former restaurant space on the primary floor and 1 rented apartment above. It's located on a stretch of Magazine Street between Napoleon Avenue and Jefferson Avenue in the Bulleney neighborhood. This area has long featured a mix of commercial and residential uses, including restaurants, boutiques, bars, galleries, and neighborhood-serving businesses. The applicants propose reestablishing the commercial portion of the site as a standard restaurant. The location was a popular brunch spot for years, but did not reopen after the pandemic. The restaurant requires a conditional use as the site is in a Magazine Street Use Restriction Overlay District, which allows such uses only as conditional uses. Reinstituting the space as a restaurant would require minimal build-out. The subject section of Magazine Street has always been a mixed-use corridor with commercial uses interspersed among residential uses, so it is not likely that a standard restaurant would result in any negative impact for the surrounding residents. The applicant is bringing a vacant commercial space back into commerce while improving the visibility and character of the site. The proposed restaurant is an appropriate neighborhood-serving commercial use and is consistent with the general purpose and intent of the HUB1 zoning district regulations. Staff therefore recommends approval of zoning docket 0522-26, subject to 3 provisos.
Thank you. I assume you're Miss Adele Bergman? Okay, so you have 5, your card, and then 4 more, so you would have 10 minutes seated to you, and then there's some other cards too.
Thank you.
So please go ahead and remember to state your name and address and carry on.
Yes, my name is Adele Bergman, 3643 Franklin Avenue, and I'm the Executive Director of the Crescent City Cafe. We're here today asking for conditional use to open a standard restaurant at 4807 Magazine Street. Its last use was a successful brunch restaurant that closed due to the pandemic. It was Surrey's, and we're planning to reopen a brunch restaurant in the space. It's great coming to this meeting a few days after Magazine Street's Champagne Stroll because we met so many neighbors and patrons of Magazine Street who expressed excitement about brunch back in the space and about the restaurant concept that we are opening. It will be a traditional brunch restaurant, but also a pay-what-you-can community cafe model. This model doesn't affect our operations as a standard restaurant, as Arthur and Pete will speak to, but it will open up the space to be accessible to people of all means. The mixed use and walkability of Magazine Street sets up the restaurant at this location for success. We are a nonprofit focusing on creating dignified dining for anyone needing a meal. We learned about successful pay-what-you-can cafes in other cities and knew that New Orleans is perfect for this model. The pay-what-you-can concept is not new here, with concerts, yoga studios, and other organizations doing sliding scale and pay-what-you-can options. Our community loves brunch and loves paying it forward. We are a longstanding good neighbor with our Saturday program on St. Charles that is separate from this in Denver. And what excites me even more is that we found this space where we've seen donors, volunteers, and our established low-income guests walk by as we're on site, since we're already neighbors there. We are community-focused, understanding that bringing people together around food is a big part of who we are as New Orleanians. I've been here for 20 years, and when asked why I don't say I drank the water, I say I ate the food. Because I dined around tables with friends, strangers, neighbors, and we all love food and creating community around it. And I'm excited to open and run this restaurant.
Thank you.
My name is Arthur Kratz.
Got it.
I'm an attorney, in case anybody's wondering.
Yeah, name and address.
Arthur Kratz, office address 365 Canal Street, Suite 2000. I am an attorney, but I'm here in my capacity as a donor to the organization and a member of the board of directors. My principal objective, I have a couple of comments, but my principal objective would be to answer any questions that any of the commissioners have. When I read the staff report, I think what I was most struck by was that the standard restaurant, which is what we propose to operate, is actually a permitted use under the zoning ordinance, but there's the overlay district on Magazine Street, which the staff commented was basically for the purpose of avoiding oversaturation of restaurants. And as the staff commented, that's not a concern on this particular section of Magazine Street. And so I think under those circumstances, request that the commission approve the conditional use permit. I will say, and I want to speak to this to start with, we've had some really productive meetings with members of the local neighborhood. The biggest concern that's been raised has been a concern that there's no subtle way for me to say this, that we're not telling the truth, that we plan to do something other than open a standard restaurant. It's difficult for me to push back against that because that's simply not the case. There's been some concerns that we plan to open a soup kitchen. That's not correct. We want to open a brunch restaurant. It is a pay-what-you-can model based on a cafe model that's been successful in other cities. And so that's what we want to do. That's what I think is permitted under the zoning ordinance. And obviously, we're not asking to do, and we don't have the intent to do anything that's not permitted by a standard restaurant designation. And so would be delighted to answer any questions, but I don't have any additional comments.
Thank you. Joe Berlage, Tiffany French, Kathleen Lewis. Those are the next 3. Kathleen Lewis, or you'd like to speak? Just, sure. You know you're here to speak, just tell me who you are and then I'll put the cards in order.
Peter Breen, 2834 Ursulines Avenue, New Orleans. I first became aware of this organization by volunteering And I was attracted to their mission, which is to provide high-quality meals with a full-service operation and served by people who share a mission to better the community. And then I am professionally been running the Joint Barbecue Restaurant in Bywater for 20 years, and so agreed to come onto the board of directors to help bring this to fruition. And so that's what we're here to do, is to create a full-service restaurant. Guests will come in, be greeted by a host, be waited on by a staff member. The meals will be prepared by professional kitchen staff who will be paid employees, and be competitive wages back there. And then a lot of the other people will be volunteers helping to create a good guest experience. But so I just urge you to follow the staff recommendation and also to look beyond any fears that are expressed by other people here, and look forward to answering any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen Lewis, 4808 Magazine Street.
Ms. Lewis, do you mind bringing the mic? Just want to hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have been an owner across the street from the property since January 2006. We bought a condominium there while we lived in California and we were working. We retired and moved there May 2020. So we live there full-time now. We had it as a rental the whole other time. We were really, really excited to see this concept. We went to the first meeting that they had with the community. We just walked across the street, obviously. And it's something new. It's kind of scary, but you know, it's new. There's not that many of them in the United States, so we were excited to hear about it. And we liked what we heard, and we've been talking it up with, we've met people in the 6 years we live here. We've been talking it up with people in the neighborhood and everything, so we would like to see this happen. We liked it when Surrey's was open. We liked the brunch concept in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Linda Akers, 4832 Constance Street, New Orleans. I live just 2 blocks from this location. I'm speaking as both a neighbor and also a volunteer with Crescent City Cafe over the past 2 years. At their Rain Church pop-up location, the Fellowship Hall is transformed into a cafe environment where homeless and food insecure are served a breakfast from a menu, seated at tables with proper table settings. Guests are welcomed in to dine and leave in a prompt, orderly fashion after their meal is finished. I've always found the guests grateful for both the meal and to be treated with dignity. I have found the organization to be effective in addressing a problem and having a positive impact on the community. As a neighbor, I would welcome a brunch option within walking distance, especially since the closure of Surrey's at the current site and the more recent closure of Apple-Line after the death of its owner last year. There are definitely a few homeless and food insecure individuals that I encounter in the immediate neighborhood on a regular basis. The Pay What You Can Cafe would fill a gap for those in need as well as the larger community. I have personally spoken to neighbors that are in full support of the model. We would welcome the opportunity to support a restaurant that also does good for the community through its Pay What You Can model. I urge you to approve the permit today. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Joe Berklich and Tiffany French. Well, Natalie Durham or Carly Harvey. There's a couple cards seated, but there doesn't seem, maybe you're the last person to speak.
Tiffany French, 2326 North Robertson Street. I submitted an online comment in favor, but I wanted to elaborate. I have volunteered with Crescent City Cafe Saturday breakfasts for almost 3 years, and it has been an overwhelmingly positive experience. I have never seen any negative effects on the neighborhood where we've been doing the Saturday breakfasts, And I wish that a Pay What You Can cafe like this would open in my neighborhood so that everyone would have access to a good, affordable meal and to get to know their neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak in support?
Hi, I'm Natalie Durham at 2224 Joseph Street, New Orleans, 70115. I'm here to speak briefly in support of Crescent City Cafe, a nonprofit I've been aware of and associated with its entirety of 17 years and have volunteered with this year. I've seen amazing work done from afar and now near by this organization, and I attended the planning meeting in the space back in February. I support this as well as a former neighbor of the area, and I have a close relationship with the Bullitt Neighborhood Association, who I believe wrote and submitted a letter of support on May 4th that I encourage everyone to view. I believe it has very strong points of support, and I urge you to consider it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in support? Okay. Ms. Caitlin Brewster, we have one card in opposition, and then the applicant will be able to come back and speak. Please state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Brewster, 1006 Lyons, New Orleans, Louisiana. I have been a resident there, owned my home almost 16 years. And I think some of the levels of distrust maybe that they spoke about earlier was, I represent 67 neighbors and households. We have a really strong community. We've been gathering. We did in fact meet at the end of January with huge opposition for this. I think the main reasons why we're concerned, I can go through a few, is we just feel like it's a location mismatch. We also love Surrey's. We very much love the idea of a brunch spot. We think that'll be fabulous for that location. With that said, the pay-as-you-can concept is not something that I think it will support the people that it's trying to support. That's number one. Number two, there's access barriers. Yes, there is a public bus system, but there's not a lot of access there for the security of the homeless and the food insecure. The third thing is it's a high-risk environment. The unhoused population would be next door to a 24-hour bar, and there's also another within walking distance bar in that neighborhood. And then finally, the past substance abuse of homeless and in food insecure. We feel like that is a major risk to that population to be so next door to a 24-hour bar. We're looking out for the safety of these people as well as the safety of the neighbors. Thanks.
Thank you. Who would like to speak as their rebuttal? You'll get 2 minutes, one of you, please.
Arthur Kratz again. I maybe have 30 seconds. I think the question before the commission is whether to allow a standard restaurant to exist in this brunch space that was occupied by Ceres for a really long time. I think any concerns that might exist about the model by which guests are charged for their food is not a sort of consideration from a zoning perspective. And so obviously we as a member of the community have a deep interest in operating responsibly, and we're certainly committed to do that. And but I think under the criteria that are before the commission, the application should be approved. And so unless there's any questions, that's the only comment I had.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant or their representation?
I have a question. What are your hours and how are you funded?
So we're a nonprofit organization, so we're funded principally by donors like me. I'm a donor to the organization. The proposed hours are initially 7 a.m. to 1 p.m.
And my question is, could you just talk a little bit about access to and from the site so, the commission is aware? Just like how are people coming, or how do you plan to have people come? And
Yeah, so the location, if you're at all familiar with the Old Surrey's restaurant, is on Magazine Street. It's between Jefferson and Napoleon. So obviously Magazine Street is a pretty heavily trafficked corridor. I guess if your question is where do we think our guests are going to come from? I mean,
yeah, are there any there could be any shuttle system, any just out of curiosity.
Yeah. So we don't have plans to provide any sort of transportation or anything like that. plan to operate at the risk of sounding like a broken record, like a standard restaurant. And so our guests are going to come to us, we hope, certainly from the neighborhood itself, and then anybody who chooses to travel there. But there's no plans, I don't know if this, I apologize if I'm not answering your question, but there's no plans to provide like transportation or anything.
That's great. Sorry. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yes, Commissioner
So
Bear.
how will the community know about your restaurant?
We don't have plans to spend any money on advertising, if that's your question. I think we're going to put a sign out there. Word of mouth. I think we've really been blessed by a lot of support in the community, and so our hope is that neighbors will come and eat with us. I think our hope is that some of our supporters, donors, people like myself and my wife will I'm sure go to brunch there. I don't know if that answers your question.
I'm just wondering if you're going to reach out to other nonprofits.
So we have relationships with other nonprofits in the city. I mean, we've enjoyed some really generous support from some local churches like St. Charles Avenue Presbyterian Church and Rain Memorial United Methodist Church, just to name a couple. And so we certainly have relationships with nonprofits. I mean, one of my fellow board members is...
If I may, I'm a resident, 5215 Perrier. Lindsay Hendricks is my name. I'm the board president of the Crescent City Cafe. But in my professional life, I'm actually the chief impact officer of Second Harvest Food Bank. So I've been with Second Harvest for almost 11 years now. And our intent is to ensure that we are reaching the food insecure population of New Orleans. So we know with grocery prices as high as they currently are, that families are being squeezed at all sides. And so the intent is for this to act as a space where dining, for brunch in particular, is inclusive of all of our residents, those who can pay and those who cannot. And so I will certainly be leveraging the partner network of Second Harvest to ensure that we are getting the word out about this offering to the community. But what we hope is that it will be supported by neighbors in the neighborhood, as well as tourists who come and are shopping along the Magazine Street corridor, and that everyone can get behind this idea that a meal is not a privilege, but a right.
Thank you. Oh, I'm looking, if there's any other questions, I'm looking for a motion. All right, Commissioner Dijon.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve zoning docket 0526.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Flick will second.
Thank you. Any discussion, commissioners?
I just want to make a comment. As a Magazine Street business owner, I welcome you to Magazine Street because I really think it's really important for us to have something like this for everyone.
Yeah.
8 yeas. Thank you. Your application will move on to City Council. We have, okay, Commissioner Jordan is leaving us. Goodbye. We'll see you soon. And we're moving on to our second to last zoning docket, 001-26. Is that right?
Property disposition.
Right.
Property disposition 00126 is a request by Ernest and Memorial Exhibition Hall Authority to consider the disposition of John Churchill Chase Street right-of-way between South Peter Street and Convention Center Boulevard, in addition to 731 square feet of the Mississippi Heritage Park. The acquired property would be incorporated into the proposed Omni Hotel development and utilized for a sidewalk connecting South Peter Street to Convention Center Boulevard, in addition to part of the hotel structure. Half of the John Churchill Chase Street is zoned OSN, Neighborhood Open Space District, and half is zoned CBD2, Historic Commercial and Mixed Use District. The portion of the park to be acquired is also zoned OSN. This necessitates a zoning change to a zoning designation that permits hotels. The CBD2 district permits hotels, the slated use of the site, as a by right permission. However, there is currently a transient lodging interim zoning district in place that requires all hotels to be a conditional use. In addition to this property disposition request, the applicant is proposing an overlay district called the Convention Center Hotel Overlay District that was considered at the March 10th CPC hearing. The proposed overlay district would exclude the site from the transient lodging interim zoning district restrictions. The necessary zoning change will create inconsistency between the site's future land use map designation and its zoning. A minor map adjustment will be needed to rectify this inconsistency. Additionally, after the applicant acquires the subject property, it will need to be consolidated into the rest of Square 25. The disposition will close one block of an active street. A closure of a street requires a traffic impact analysis to determine the traffic effect on the surrounding street grid. The analysis indicates that the addition of the project trips is expected to possibly increase delays, but still hold acceptable operations at the city intersections. Staff recommends approval of property disposition 00126, subject to 4 provisos, including consolidating lots, rezoning and reflumbing the OSN zone portions of the site, receiving all necessary servitudes from the public utility companies, and potentially moving utilities in accordance with Sewage and Water Board and Entergy's provisions.
Thank you. Mr. Sherman has 3 cards seated. If you all would like to come up and whoever would like to speak first, and then I'll pull your card.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Commissioners. My name is Jim Cook. I'm the CEO of the Ernest N. Morial Convention Center. Appreciate your time again today on this topic. Is one that we've brought up before. And from an address standpoint, 900 Convention Center Boulevard, New Orleans. I want to thank the staff for the recommendation and the work that they've done to evaluate this project. This is a relatively simple transaction in that we're simply assembling the one block of John Churchill Chase, which allows for the footprint of the Omni Hotel or the headquarter hotel to be developed of the size and scale necessary for it to meet the needs of the convention center as a convention headquarter hotel. This has long been a strategic imperative of the convention center and one that is very important from a competitive standpoint relative to our positioning at a national and international level. So the assembly of this is one that we've been working with the city in terms of determining price and elements of that, and we're seeking your approval to be able to move it forward to that next step. So we're grateful for your time and your evaluation of this, and thank you for taking this up today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Mike Sherman, 800 Barone Street, on behalf of the applicant. I do have time ceded to me.
You do. You have 6 minutes.
First, I want to thank the City Planning Commission staff for the recommendation of approval, and I want to thank this commission for the recommendation of approval on our zoning overlay district last month. That was a very important part of moving the project forward. Today, we're here only on a property disposition. There is no city incentive as part of this project, and that's not on the agenda today. The public participation comes primarily from the state in this public-private partnership. The city is the beneficiary of this project. If this property disposition is approved, this street would be sold to the convention center at fair market value, which is somewhere between $3 and $4 million. That's in addition to the building permit the city gets of over $5 million, the $20 million of taxes on the construction materials. So I want to stick to the property disposition today. What was really important in the life cycle of this project was to listen to the community early. We did a major redesign of the hotel by moving it off of the initial site, which included the Mississippi River Heritage Park, and getting onto the Sugar Mill site. The HDLC has reviewed that and given its recommendation favorably on both the existing structure and the new massing. We have proposed to include the convention center's proposing to purchase it, the John Churchill Chase right-of-way. It includes basically sidewalk to sidewalk. There's 2 feet that of the right-of-way, which are on the park parcel, but it's not actually the park. It's just the legal city square. If this moves forward today, what it does is complete the development footprint for the hotel. And that footprint is the design which was presented to y'all previously and is going to the Design Advisory Committee later this month, where we move the ramps to the porte-cocheres so that the neighborhood wouldn't have traffic. It's the design where we broke down the podium separate from the tower so that the neighborhood would experience it at a scale similar to the warehouse district. It's a design that's fully respectful to the park and to the neighborhood. And it's a design that includes, this is really important, a right-of-way from South Peters to Convention Center Boulevard for pedestrians, as well as public utilities, which will be completely replaced and upgraded at Omni expense. So we ask for your support today on the property disposition, which is recommended in favor of by the staff. We also have our engineer here today, who's handling the civil works, local engineer. We have a traffic engineer who did the traffic analysis in support of this, which has been reviewed by DPW, another local firm. And I look forward to answering any questions as part of the rebuttal, but on behalf of Omni, we ask for your support today to allow this, I promise not to call it transformational, but this very important civic project to move forward. Look forward to answering questions.
Thank you. Ryan Flanagan, Christine Dara, Becca Grier, and Miles Granderson.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Christine Dara at 2000 Tulane Avenue. Urban Systems, we are the traffic engineers on the project. Our team performed traffic analysis associated with the proposed revocation and overall project circulation. The project design intentionally prioritized access to the development on Convention Center Boulevard in order to minimize neighborhood traffic impacts where possible. Based on our analysis results, traffic would maintain acceptable levels of service, and with the revocation, the surrounding roadway network provides alternative connections between Convention Center Boulevard and South Peters. We believe the circulation plan associated with this request is appropriate and workable for both existing and future conditions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Ryan Flanagan. I'm a principal with Schrank Endeman Flanagan. Our address is 4227 Bienville. We are the civil engineer of record for this project. Our team's been working closely with Department of Public Works, Sewage and Water Board, Entergy, Delta, and other utility providers throughout the planning process related to this request. We've carefully evaluated the utilities located within this portion of right-of-way and developed a coordinated relocation and infrastructure plan to ensure continued service and long-term reliability. Importantly, the revocation will not prevent any utility access or future maintenance needs. We're continuing to coordinate closely with all agencies as our engineering design progresses, and will comply with all required approvals and permitting processes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miles Granderson, 800 Barone. As noted, this is a meaningful public policy project in a dense urban area, which means it's necessarily going to involve some intricate public processes, this being one of them. Importantly, as just noted, utilities, sewage and water board, everything else, that will be provided for within the current right-of-way or immediately adjacent. That's all provided for as provisos and everything else. They'll also maintain a 10-foot sidewalk strip that will also be maintained as well within the current right-of-way area. Also, the one thing to note is where the park is delineated by the end of the fence, that is 2.38 feet before the end of the right-of-way. So this request also includes that 2.38 feet between where we see the park and where the right-of-way technically ends right there as well. And this process, again, goes through PAC, all these other processes, so everything is provided for to make sure that the city and all public utilities are taken care of.
And that's the red line up there, correct?
So the red line, or the red rectangle represents everything. What you would notice if that were particularly specific, and you can see it on this map, is that where the fence is and where the street right-of-way ends are 2.38 feet or 731 square feet difference. So this is including that 731 square feet or 2.38 feet to include in this right-of-way acquisition.
Thank you. Ms. Greiger?
Becca Geiger, 800 Barone Street. As you heard today, this project has involved extensive coordination not only with city agencies and technical consultants, but also with neighbors, stakeholders, and the broader hospitality community. This project has evolved significantly through that process. The team has made meaningful changes in response to feedback, including modifications to circulation, pedestrian accommodations, and site layout, all with the goal of delivering a project that works both operationally and contextually. The request before you today is another component of implementing a project that will have major long-term economic impact for the city of New Orleans. We respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no other cards in support. Is that correct? So we're going to move to the opposition. We have 10 cards. I'm going to call 3 at a time, just so that you're aware that you're next on the clock. Troy Duplass, Mike Robinshaw, and Max Crackmall. If you want to speak differently, just let me know too.
Troy Dupuy, 1111 South Peter Street.
Okay.
I know this is going to go through anyways, but as part of this adjustment, since you are carving into the park space, we would like to have the park zoning corrected at the same time. And the CZO figures 17.2 and 17.3. This is a zone is a FAR of 12 for height. We would like to get the same respect as other parks in the city and in this area and get the zoning designation A, which is 35 feet in height. Part of this was, the reason this was, this has been used in other zoning instances to try and get further height out of this project, tried to use the FAR 12, and the previous project tried to use the FAR 12 as justification for building a taller building. Our state reps, Duplessis and Knox, even tried to take this park away from the city as part of this hotel project. So we'd like this commission to reinforce that this is a city park and give it a proper city park designation of a proper height of 35 feet versus an FAR of 12 that's been used improperly to grant other height variances. I think that's all I have to say on this. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And maybe staff, you don't have to comment now, but think about that prior to the end of the opposition, just so that we could answer that question.
Hi, my name is Erica Zucker. I believe you have a card from me. I am the co-director of the Workplace Justice Project, and I have been asked to incorporate some of the comments from Mike Robertshaw of the National Nurses United and Max Krochma with the United Campus Workers CWA at UNO. They both had to leave, to my own comments. So here we go. There is a chant that you may have heard if you've ever been to a protest. It's a call and response that goes, "Whose streets? Our streets." It's a great chant. And I feel like it's something that is relevant today. I am here to ask you to vote no on the disposition of a public street for the development of the proposed Omni Hotel. I don't think the city should approve this project until the public understands how this project will benefit New Orleans residents and New Orleans workers. We know that this project overall wants huge subsidies from the public, a zoning giveaway, and they also want a public street. Moreover, the traffic study that was prepared shows that the proposed project will increase traffic in both morning and evening peak times and will decrease the level of service on the Convention Center Boulevard. New Orleans taxpayers deserve transparency and clarity on the public benefit of this project and the street disposition before this is allowed to move forward. So please vote no on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you mind just stating your address? I don't recall if you did.
So sorry, 7600 Jeanette Street.
And who were the two individuals that left?
Mike Robert Shaw
Okay.
and Max Krockmall.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Benjamin Zucker. Joseph Rosenweld. Bunny White.
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us out today. My name is Benjamin Zucker, and I'm the Executive Director of the new Economic Justice Organizing Project, and I'm urging you to vote no and stop the Omni development. This is a painfully
Address,
bad
please.
deal for our city.
Your address, please.
Oh, sorry, 517 Scropper Street.
Thank you.
The $600 million tax giveaway to the Omni is a boondoggle. With the city under such financial stress that city workers are currently furloughed, it's unconscionable that a gift of this magnitude is being considered. We, of course, understand that tourism and the convention center are critical parts of our economy, but why the huge tax giveaway? Certainly, city and tourism leaders can find a hotel corporation who wants to extract profit from our city's cultural economy without such a scandalous windfall. If approved, this will be one of the largest tax giveaways in our city's history. Hard to imagine that it will be worth it. What could we accomplish with $600 million? How many early childhood education seats? How many after-school programs? How many violence prevention programs? How many potholes filled? How many infrastructure improvements to our electrical grid or sewage and water board? How many RTA buses? Outside of police and fire, this giveaway represents nearly a year of the city's budget. Why is the Omni, as one corporation, worthy of such a huge amount of money? The community was not engaged in this process. A tax giveaway of this size should be given a much, much, much more thorough consideration from all stakeholders, including our organization, Unite Here, and other tax and hospitality worker experts. Thank you for your time, and again, encouraging you to vote no on the proposal.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Bunny White, and I work in hospitality at the Superdome. And I'm here to tell you to vote no on selling John Churchill Chase Street. It looks like the developers, the city, and the City Planning Commission are trying to piece by piece give approval for the Omni Hotel project, potentially at a huge cost to the public with increased traffic. Zoning is moving in one thing over there. The street sale is moving here, and then a pilot agreement is moving somewhere else. Don't approve this project and give a public right-of-way before we know what the entire project is going to cost and what the overall impact on the public is going to be. The traffic study for the proposed project shows that traffic in the area will increase, and the level of service on Convention Center Boulevard will decrease. Out-of-state developers want to build a hotel. Great, let them do it. Let them do it by the rules and in a way that benefits the public and does not negatively impact traffic and give a public street. Please vote no. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you mind stating your address for the record, please?
Oh, my name is Bunny White, and I live at 3543 Delachase Street,
Thank you.
New Orleans.
Joseph Rosenbeck? Macaulay Henry? Sophia Favre? Jonathan Hill?
Good afternoon. My name is Sophia Favre, and my address is 1925 Arbor Street. I work at the Superdome and Smoothie King as a bartender and hostess. I'm a homeowner in New Orleans. I was born and raised in New Orleans. I'm asking you to vote not on the street disposition for the proposed Omni Hotel project. The city should not give up its public right-of-way for a heavily subsidized project? What will be the benefit to the public of giving up a public street? Financially, the project will be a drain on street and city budgets. And as for traffic circulation, the traffic study that was conducted shows that the level of service on Convention Center Boulevard will be decreased in both AM and PM peak hours. Look, is selling John Churchill Chase the best use of public resources? I don't know. Maybe it could be, but it's not when it's part of this project as proposed. We should not approve a project that increases traffic and changes vehicle access. Once a public right-of-way is given up, there's no easy way back. I urge you to vote no on the street opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have 3 cards left. Jonathan Hill, Macaulay Henry, and Joseph Rosenweg.
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Hill. I live at 1111 South Peters, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70130. 1111 South Peters is directly across the street from Mississippi River Heritage Park. I own a condo at 1111 South Peters and have for 13 years. I utilize that park, Mississippi River Heritage Park, it does have a name, by the way, daily, and so do a lot of other people. When this project came on board, when I heard about it, I've been to as many meetings as I could attend and opposed every aspect of this project. I know I was here for April the 14th when it was approved against your own staff, a height of 350 feet versus 250 feet. Now, they're trying to take part of the park. Now, Mr. Sherman over here said in his statement that they had protected the park. They listened to the residents. Nobody's listened to the residents in the warehouse district. But he said that they had protected the park, and then one of his other people said that you're going to take part of the park. They haven't made a plan that can protect that park. I said from day one, my opposition to that whole project was to protect the park. You do not get rid of green spaces in a city. You just don't do it. But that's what they've wanted to do since day one. Now they've still got a portion of the park being taken away. I ask you, please, oppose the street being sold and the park being denigrated for the Omni Hotel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone? Yes. Monica Henry?
Sorry, I heard Macaulay Henry. I didn't, yeah.
Thank you. I need a little grace.
It's okay. Well, my name is Monica Henry Bowling. I will live at 2815 St. Anne Street. I'm a banquet captain at the Convention Center with Sodexo, just across the street from the hotel that is slated to be built. I'm asking you to vote no on selling a public street for the proposed Omni project. I know the project was here just a few weeks ago asking for a huge zoning change. And here it is again, asking for another thing from the city, hoping we all don't notice this project getting one little approval after another. And before we know it, before we can consider it in its entirety, it's done, and there's nothing we can do about it. Remember the dozens of boil water advisories because of water main problems? I feel like we're the frogs in the water, and it's sure getting hotter. It's harder and harder for us to make ends meet. But still, we do everything we can to do it the right way. And we play by the rules. Why should this hotel get special treatment in zoning taking over a public right-of-way and get hundreds of millions in tax breaks? I don't usually speak up for hotel owners, but should this hotel get breaks on the project that other hotels in the area didn't? How much business is the Omni going to pull away from those hotels? How is this fair? Please vote no on the sale of John Churchill Chase Street until we know the true cost and impacts on the city, the state, and the taxpayers that this will be. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak? I have one card, but Joseph Rosenweg. Okay, thank you. So if there's no more cards in opposition, we're going to ask the applicant to come back and give a rebuttal, maybe specifically talk about, well, sure, you're going to talk about lots of things, but
Sure.
the square footage of the park and how much of that is going to be reduced.
Sure. Good afternoon, Mike Sherman here, 800 Barone Street, and thank you to all the speakers for really thoughtful comments. I think I can actually provide some answers that I hope will be helpful to many. To Mr. Dupuy, let me just say on the record, we agree with you. That park should remain a park, and consider Omni as your partner to make sure whether it's a zoning change or anything else, not only will that park be renovated, should the community agree upon a plan, but that it should always remain a park, and whether it's changing the FAR or the zoning, consider Omni your partner to do that, so it can forever take away that fear. I do want to hit on the incentives. I know we're here for a property disposition, but a lot of speakers addressed it, so with the Commission's permission, I'll be brief, and I'll be happy to go into further detail. Not one penny of city incentive is going into this project. It is all state. So let me be specific on that, okay? The city has a sales tax. It will continue to get the sales tax. Not just the city, the school board, the RTA on retail sales. Hotels are taxed differently. All of the local sales taxes that the city or any of the local bodies get, they continue to get. 100% of the proposed public participation, all of it, comes from the convention center, the stadium and exposition district, or the state on hotel sales and non-hotel sales, so retail and food and beverage. There is a pilot proposed so that this project will pay property taxes in accordance with its competitive set. The pilot, which is not before you today, will be heavily debated and heavily discussed. It's proposed to be at the level of its competitive set, not to be under, not to be less. We do lots of pilots. We ask for the developers.
Can Mr. Sherman continue?
Less than their fair share. Here, the pilot is to pay property taxes. So the city of New Orleans stands to get, if this project moves forward, $5 million in a building permit fee. So talk about the city in a budget crisis. That's this year. Upwards of $20 million potentially in sales taxes just on the construction alone. $600 million is the cost of the project. Omni's putting in $500 million with a completion guarantee. This is a public-private partnership. There will be many, many opportunities to discuss the public participation. Respectfully, today is not one of them, because what's before the City Planning Commission is the property disposition. But I appreciate and respect everyone's right to speak out at every opportunity, and I have no doubt folks will continue to do that, and I appreciate that. I want to speak on this 2.38 feet, because I'll be honest, we almost pulled it out. If that would have made things easier, it actually makes it tougher. A standard right-of-way goes from sidewalk to sidewalk, okay? This right-of-way is just 2.38 feet short of a normal right-of-way. It's not the park, it's not green space, it's not a blade of grass, it's outside of the fence line. So what's Omni gonna do? Tear up the street, put fresh utilities. There's millions of dollars of utility upgrades going into this. That's a developer responsibility, so that the utility system will be upgraded in the vicinity. A servitude goes over that area, so a public real property right. Sorry. And that's where the water, the sewer, the drainage will be located, and a public sidewalk. So that 2.38 feet will be where part of the right-of-way will be located. No building, not for Omni. Now, if we excluded the 2.38 feet, we could do it. Doesn't change the development plan. But now you have utilities, water, sewer, drainage, sidewalk, half on a city-owned property, or 2/10 on city-owned property, 8/10 on Omni property. Now we need the city to participate, and it just makes it more difficult, not easier. So the question we had is, we're off the park. We're not going back on the park. We want to commit the park will always be a park. We're here at the convention center to do that. The city's asked, will the Omni and the convention center maintain the park rent? Of course we will. That 2.38 feet is outside the fence line, and it does sit on the legal parcel where the Mississippi River Heritage Park is. It makes it an easier street acquisition, more money to the city, and easier when it comes to permitting the project, but not a part of what's traditionally known as the Omni. So I'm happy to answer any more questions, to dive into deeper depth. On the property disposition, we appreciate staff support. We appreciate all the city officials who reviewed it. We ask for your support, and there will be many opportunities to debate this incentive.
So just want to be clear again, the park will not be affected by this because it's on the opposite side of the fence.
Not in, correct, not one inch. This 2.38 feet's outside the fence line. It just happens to fall on that parcel.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant representation?
Is it possible for staff to add that 35-foot restriction on the park?
The 35-foot height restriction, we cannot. That would require a text amendment from City Council or from a citizen. We would not be able to do that.
To the extent that the city does not do it, Commissioner, we will make that motion if we're legally allowed to, or work with the city, because we want the community to know that park will remain a park.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, yeah. Please, Commissioner Josie Gupta. Yes.
Ready to make a motion to approve property disposition 001-26.
Is there a second? Commissioner Jackson? Thank you. Any questions, discussion?
Is that in accordance with staff recommendation?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. If not, then let's go ahead and vote. I'm a yes. My screen's not working. So the motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for coming today and taking time off of work to discuss this matter. We are moving into our last item, which is the subdivision ratifications.
There are 4 items on your screen to be ratified.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'd be looking for a motion to...
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second to ratify these? Commissioner Sieg did a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. No opposition? What? Oh. Commissioner Sieg, do you mind sitting for just 1 second? I think we're trying to get a photo op of you. And we're going to, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Jackie did.
Any discussion about our motion to adjourn,
No.
staff?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned. I think we have yes.